Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and we're going to be tackling another weak point on these otherwise well-built trucks, and this one's going to be a pretty big one that could leave you stranded. Is part of the cooling system actually, and I've replaced 3 of these, and this last one I replaced 6 months ago, and it's this piece right here. See, this is where the heater core, where the hot coolant coming out of the engine goes into the heater core, and as you can see, that's a pretty strange fitting. If you're not familiar with it, it's a quick disconnect. So on the other end of it, it's got a plastic clip, and as you can see, it's not supposed to be in 3 pieces. But yeah, this one lasted me 6 months. But today I'm going to be teaching you how to fix it and honestly set it up the way it should have been out of the factory. So here's the fitting that we're replacing. It's right here next to the distributor on the back of the engine behind the EGR valve, and you can see mine's leaking. I don't know how good you can see that on camera. Right there, it's leaking. There's a little puddle of coolant down there, and all you really need to do is remove some of the spark plug wires. Just remember where they go and where they came from. And then one screw right here on that hard line, right there. And you can pretty much disconnect it now. You know, they call these quick disconnects, but I've always struggled taking them out. And see, you could see it's already broken. I replaced that about 6 months ago. And that's the problem and why we're replacing and deleting this quick disconnect. And yeah, it goes unsaid to only do this when your engine's completely cold. Never do any maintenance on your cooling system with the engine hot. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, this is the fitting that comes factory from the truck. This isn't a factory piece because they fail all the time. This is actually from Dorman. And yeah, this little clip is supposed to be somewhat like that. And yeah, this lasted me 6 months before it started leaking again. So that's just not right. It makes your vehicle unreliable, because if this piece fails, you're losing all your coolant. And yeah, I don't like Dorman pieces. They've proven to be unreliable, but I don't think there is any of these that are reliable. And it's just, why even mess with it? Why do you need a quick disconnect? You know, what's wrong with the standard, hose and hose clamp? So I'm going to teach you guys what parts I'm going to be using. This is a Dorman part as well. I don't like them, but that's what they had available locally. And really, can they really mess this up? I hope not. But yeah, so right here's the part number. I just got it at my local O'Reilly's, and you could use Teflon seal or liquid thread sealant right here, just so it doesn't leak at the fitting. And it's pretty standard. You just replace it how you take off the old one. But what I do gotta warn, when you're taking off the old one, go slow. This one's not that old, but if you got one that's original and they just kept replacing the clips, and these are known to break, so take your time. Maybe put some heat to it if you know it's original, but don't crank on it too hard. Try to go slow, especially if you got an engine that they've ran water through a lot. But if you ran coolant, you should be pretty safe there. To remove it, I used a 1" and 1/16 socket, and to install it, we're going to be using a 7/8 socket. And pretty much it's standard. I mean, there's no modification on the other end. All you need is a hose, and the hard line already has got a nice shoulder on it where the clip used to connect to. So that'll make sure, just go past that little ridge, and then that's where you hook up the hose line on the other end, and you connect it on the other end with just these standard hose clamps. And this hose is kind of a tight fit for me. What I noticed made it easier was just getting a heat gun just like this, heating up the hose, and it'll slide on much easier once the hose is soft. And then just pretty much standard procedure. You won't lose very much coolant, but yeah, top it off. And if you got concentrate like I do here, make sure to use distilled water when you're adding water to the mixture. And then just a standard bleeding procedure. Alright guys, so what I just noticed was this restrictor right here. It's kind of broken because I was trying to remove it to try to see if it would work with the new one, because the new one has no restrictor, straight flow. But once I did a little bit of research, I found out that General Motors has been doing that for a couple decades to not over pressurize your heater core and to prevent leakage at high RPM speed. And so here I got two solutions here. I got a little bit of piping here, slid one pipe into another one, and just tapped it into place, and that will kind of work as a restrictor, and it'll fit. It will fit right at the end of the hose, and you could put it in the hose that's connecting into the fitting, and it'll work as some sort of a restrictor. But what might actually work better and might be easier, because I can't tell you what size of piping this is, I just had it laying around, is you might actually be able to use a 10mm socket, funny enough. Yeah, and I might have to sacrifice, I've been having this hung on the wall, but it's that Cletus McFarlane 10mm socket I had hanging around. And surprisingly enough, it does fit in the hose pretty well. Like I said, just heat up the hose and you could hammer it in there. And that's enough of a restriction right there to not over pressurize your heater core. Now you could just not use it and you should be fine, but I do think there is a reason they were restricting the pressure. So I did end up using this pipe as a restrictor, just so I wouldn't have to sacrifice a socket. But I think a socket would have worked just well if you can't find a setup like this. But yeah, see, there's no risk of it going anywhere. Perfect size right here. And see this shoulder that used to be used for the quick disconnect? Perfect for retaining the hose. Now I went from that quick disconnect to that barbed, and even the clamp was able to fit again, except they used to be on the other side and a little further down. But yeah, just flipped it around the other way, and everything's good. No kinks in the hose, and this should be a lot more reliable than what used to be on there. So pretty straightforward, easy job. Now all we got to do is top off the coolant reservoir and bleed it a little bit, and we should be good to go. Well, thanks for joining me for another video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed and have a great day.